set, I don't know if you'd like to take it all in its entirety, but item J are all of the, J is all of the insurance policies, 99% of them for the 2014-15 school year. I could go through, describe them, if you'd like, I think there are 9 different proposals.
Yeah, let's make a motion to take them in their entirety. So can we have that motion?
Motion?
Can we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, motion to adopt. Do we have a motion?
Motion, sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Great.
So do you want me just to summarize what those policies are?
Yes.
So the first item is our 403B third-party administrator. We have a vendor, Omni, who does this service for our school districts. The recommendation is to renew with them. We have an excess workers' compensation policy which limits the potential liability for the district on our workers' compensation plan, which is a requirement. We have a group term life and long-term disability insurance program with Mutual of Omaha. We have a self-funded workers' compensation third-party administrator. That organization assists us in processing claims and reviewing claims. We have a retiree dental third-party administrator, same provider that we used the past 2 years. I'm recommending we renew with them. Unemployment insurance, we go out and we work to minimize our claims in unemployment. We work with a third-party administrator for that service. We have student accident to prevent, to minimize and potentially eliminate potential liability claims against the district for student accidents. So we have a provider with pupil benefits. I'm recommending a renewal with them. We have a nominal volunteer accident insurance, which is one that protects us should a volunteer who is working with the district chooses to sue the district for some reason. That policy would cover us there. And then we have our New York State, New York Schools insurance reciprocal policies, which are all of the property, automobile, and liability policies for the district, as well as the district's crime policy, which we're required to have.
Thank you, Andrew.
The workers' comp policy is in addition to?
There's an excess, so typically with workers' compensation, we have a, you're either self-insured or not. We're self-insured and have been for many, many years. You then have an, kind of an umbrella, so your losses stop at a certain point, so that you're then secondarily insured. Someone else takes the liability, someone else takes that potential risk. Sure. I think we need a motion to approve all of those.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do we have a second? Yeah, I thought we did that.
I thought you did it in entirety.
Actually,
That was both.
And then we had an adoption.
I apologize. Just want to make sure.
Trying to run the show over there, aren't you?
Just want to make sure we have
Jeez,
insurance in
you know?
place. I just want to make sure we didn't miss a skip a beat, okay?
Give her an inch.
Mrs. Fallon, do you want to take the next item, or would you like for me to take that? Okay. The next item is a lease agreement for a portion of Chestnut Hill. The tenant is Alternatives for Children, which is a birth through almost 6-year-old special education school. We've been working with them for many, many months to arrange an agreement that was beneficial for both parties. The arrangement is to have them lease essentially the northwest wing of the building. It's about a third of the building. Not the library, not the open common area, not the courtyard. They don't want any use of our gym, of our cafeteria, or any other general purpose room. The contract with them, the tenant landlord agreement with them would call for $120,000 for the initial term, initial 1 year. It's a 5-year agreement. The second year we have a 20% increase in the lease rental payment. Third and all years beyond that, it would be a 3% escalator. We have full rights and use of the building. We have full rights and use of all the fields. Any work that's done on the building will be done by our employees at an upcharge to them. So cost of materials, labor, supplies, plus an upcharge, and I'm forgetting what that was. It was either a 5 or 10% upcharge. They have been it's been a very smooth process. They have been wonderful to work with. They are licensed by the Office of Family and and Children's Services, as well as by New York State, so they are very much aligned with what we do for a living. And it's our recommendation, Mrs. Fallon's and my recommendation, that the board approve this lease for an initial 5-year term with a 5-year renewal option at the conclusion of that 5-year term.
How many students are they gonna have?
They are looking, their program right now, they're looking at 11 classrooms, and they have, so 11 classrooms, and each room, I'm gonna say, I'm probably on the high side, about 15 students per classroom is probably on the high side. And then they have extra space that's designated for them that they would not be using at the outset, but that we have a cost of $7,000 for each additional classroom that they're looking to rent in their assigned space.
They are, I'm sorry, they are interested in this facility because they have outgrown their present facility. It's an organization that services children from birth to
5 and a half.
5 and a
Yeah.
half, yes. And it's a growing organization. They have other locations on Long Island.
So, now, you mentioned they're not using the cafeteria, so they're gonna eat in the classrooms? Is that-
Their program is not, they would be eating in classrooms, or they would have 3/4 of the day. I'm not sure how their exact program works. They don't need lunch services, they don't need
Okay.
rec services.
And the last question I have is, as far as providing security or issues, like if there's an emergency there, is that gonna be directed, are they their own administration, or are they gonna be doing this through our central office? Like, is our central office gonna be responsible for emergency calls there, or security there, or any issues?
We're not going to be assigning a security guard there, but the security guards, as they do now, Chestnut Hill will be on the same patrol route as we do currently, Chestnut Hill and Forest Park. So we're going to treat those buildings like we are still the occupants in there, even though they may not be occupied by us. The custodial services are going to be provided by their own staff. So while we will not be doing the cleaning every day of emptying garbages and clearing out the hallways, we will be doing the maintenance on the building. We will maintain our HVAC system, our boilers. All of that is going to be maintained by us, embedded in the lease price. Anything that happens as a result of their misuse, we charge back to them at that markup I mentioned before. We are not providing a security guard there every day, but we will have our patrol. We will have access to the building. We will be in and out of that building on a regular basis anyway, like we will with Forest Park.
The important piece for the board to understand, and for the community to understand, is this is no longer a half Hollow Hills program. So, in terms of security, or in terms of, if there's an occurrence in the district, I inform the board immediately. An occurrence involving a student that's participating at Alternatives for Children, you will not get communication about that. So that will be a switch, and it will be, you have to step back from that, but that we are not involved in the operation of their program. They are renting a facility from us.
Right, but it's still our facility, so if there's an issue in the facility, we would know.
Right, but if,
There's a fire in the kitchen, or, yeah,
of course,
a
but
roof
if
collapse.
there's a fire, if a fire alarm is pulled, you're not going to know. If a student slips,
Right.
you're not going to be, if an ambulance is called to that building, you're not going to be made aware of it, because it has nothing to do with our students or our.
So just 2 questions. One, indemnity, we're covered, released from anything and everything.
We had our NYSER, our
Right.
insurance company, review the insurance language, and they actually proposed to us what to include, and we included it verbatim.
So we're covered
Absolutely.
from
Absolutely.
here to Sunday.
Absolutely.
And the second one, what about termination rights from our side and or their side? Are there any, and how do they work?
There are, and I believe we have a 60-day termination without cause, and an immediate termination with cause.
Okay. So,
I'll just, if it's anything but that, I'll let you know, but I believe we went with the 60-day.
And to piggyback on that as well, there is, within that 5-year lease period, there is also a termination. That's where the termination also comes on our part, but within those 5 years, we have the option to
Right.
terminate.
If we were to need the building again, we
Yes.
need to give them 60 days
Yes.
and we're back
Yes, I
in.
think we have 60
But
days,
that's
and
not
they
much.
have 30 days if they need to pay for it.
That's fine. So So
Yes,
if
it's
God
embedded.
forbid there was an emergency and we needed the building, we have 60 days, they're out and we're in.
Is there any, issue, as far as the gym space, let's just say for argument's sake, like the Girl Scouts, wanted to have some event there on a Saturday in October, right? Is that space that the district would, give out to outside groups, or
We're not
is our
going-
basketball leagues gonna be able to use those gyms, or that's out?
We're not using the closed facilities for,
Okay.
for those types of events. Fields, the outside fields, I believe that we're going to look to use. But to use the inside of the building, it would be again, cleaning bathrooms, cleaning the facilities, every single day as a group goes in the evening and leaves, so,
Okay, fair enough.
right.
Great, so do we have a motion to accept the lease agreement?
Motion.
Second. Any other comments or questions?
Great job.
Oh, it's a great job.
It was a long time coming, we appreciate your work.
Thank you, and it's great to know that it's an educational situation for us, so that really is good. All those in favor?
Just one more comment, I agree, just one follow-up question. There's no limitations as to what we can do with the rest of the building?
The only limitation we have is we cannot put in a competitor. There are very designated competitors for them. We can't put in a competitor.
And we have a
for them.
specific list, so it's not like,
Yes.
you're a competitor just because you're,
Right, and that's because they would
Good education.
potentially lose they have licensing issues
Got it.
with the state.
that's fine, perfect.
We have that approval?
Yes.
Okay, great. And my final item is a routine item for the reorganization meeting. We set up the structure so that at the end of this next this fiscal year we're in, 14-15, if we have additional funds available, we have the authority to fund reserves. And so the resolution is for that purpose. Unspent budget dollars or unanticipated revenues to be able to fund reserves up to the levels that are indicated in the resolution.
Great. So do we have a motion to move that money and fund the reserves in the event that there is any?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
That's all. Thank you, Mr. Maxwell.
Thank you. Great job.
This evening, the report from the Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education. We have recommendations from the Committee on Preschool Education.
Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And,
Secondary education items?
yes, and the report this evening from the Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education includes recommendations from the Committee of Special Education as well as consultant contracts.
Dr. Harrigan, would you recommend that we take a motion to adopt all those contracts in their entirety? Okay, so can we have a motion to adopt all the contracts in their entirety? Do we have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, it's the Brookville Center for Children's Services, the Nicholas Center for Autism, Peter Brennan, doing business as Brennan Hall Business Management Company, the Syosset Central School District, the Hagaman Little Village School, and United Cerebral Palsy of Suffolk County.
And there was one additional one, the Woodward.
Woodward Center?
Woodward Center, right, that was just added today.
There's a special education school in Suffolk County that send students to.
Okay, great. So do we have a motion to accept them in the entirety? Do we have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Great, so then, did we do the motion to adopt them? or-
Yeah, yes.
Okay, great.
Well, the report would be an information item, but there is an appointment of an impartial hearing officer.
Okay.
We'll do that one.
So do we have a motion for the appointment of the impartial hearing officer?
Motion?
Do we have a second? Comments or questions? All those in favor?
If you'd like to figure out if I can do the policy.
Sure, that would be
I've
great.
got it in front of me. This evening, we have 6 policies for second reading. You recall we did this back in June. The first policy is 1530, smoking and other tobacco use on school premises. This is an amendment because of a change in the public health law, which makes it illegal not only to smoke on our grounds, but within 100 feet of our school grounds unless that happens to be your home. Policy 4327, it relates to homebound instruction, and the piece is with the quality of homebound instruction, we needed to change the wording that it said not only are we providing, but that we are providing appropriate homebound instruction, something to do with changes coming down from the federal government. Policy 4750 is the promotion and retention of students. This relates to the Common Core Implementation Act, which makes certain that school districts are not using state examinations as a sole or strong determinant in the promotion and retention of students. Policy 5300.45, alternative instruction. Similar to the homebound instruction, the difference, homebound instruction is typically for a student who is ill, alternative instruction is typically for a student who has been suspended, and the policy change is also related to that quality